they'd say. They have to know how much to do, but I let them. That's that one, right? Very good, very good. You couldn't get a fork too small, it's cold. No, catch fork wouldn't go through it.
Basket on or something.
You're doing a bit for the hose on here anyway, Joe. Near a limerick.
Another volunteer. Anybody with a few hands? James McNeil. Yeah. I have another one for you. Keep it out. That way.
It's the 42nd year of the Wren boys in this road, and they're going from strength to strength. I'm glad to say that this year we had to stop groups coming. We have 5 fantastic groups here tonight, and we had to refuse 1 or 2 groups because we couldn't take it. Now the first group on tonight, the Hillsiders, Joe Harrington's group from Laracombe. So the Hillsiders Wren by group, and they're now facing the stage. They're right.
We are the Hillsiders Wren group from every hillside in North Kerry and West Limerick. We're from Laracombe and Youall, and we're from every conceivable of a always more early to walk down that street of Church Street in the great tradition for the last 40 years of the Wren boys that have come down there. So we're delighted, we're stone delighted to be here. What brought us, yes, man? What brought us? Just to look at you we came. Just to look at you. The Wren, the king of all birds, and since Eden's day he was cutting the furs up with the kettle and down with the pan. Give us the money to bury the Wren. Alleluia and Dronin, Cho! You know what? We did go to Dua now, up to Nafalaka, and maybe Jimmy would give us a flash to the boys from sweet Dua.
How sad and mournful is the tale that I am going to tell. From Ballyhigh to Abbeyfell, we'll mourn our loss as well. Where are the men who raised the flag and freedom's sword did draw? Who trampled down the English flag were the boys from sweet Dua. Sad was the fate I must relate, no danger did I fear. In youth and bloom they met their doom, the soldiers ambushed near. No friendly voice or warning sound did tell them to withdraw, till the Saxon bayonets did surround our boys from sweet Dua. Surrounded by a khaki clan, what could our Fenians do? But I'm proud to say one Kerry man from the soldiers did break through. He warned the company in the raid, he told them what he saw. He saved his comrades then and there, this boy from sweet Dua. McMahon brave Fitzgerald too, and Rillehin also. Mulcair and Stack, brave heroes too, were captured by the foe. And Jimmy Jay, that noble boy who brought the English law, that died to see all Ireland free, those boys from sweet Dua. The car drove on, their neither gone, no rescue could I make. The volunteers had to retreat, their hearts were fit to break. The boys were trapped, the raid was stopped, the soldiers did withdraw. 'Twas sad to face their native place, those boys from sweet Dua. In Wormwood scrolls we labour hard, 2 years for to remain. But when England's power is dead and gone, we'll have them back again. God bless the men in jail within, the bravest Ireland saw. And may we live to see old Ireland free, with the boys from Sweden to
We won't think of the Rose of Tralee, we'll think of one of the women from my van, the Rose of Newtown Sands. Johnny, will you give us a blast to the Rose of Newtown Sands?
One evening fair to take care as the summer sun went down. My heart being gay, should I chance to stray towards the village of sweet Newtown, in a neat abode alongside the road, where a nice plantation stands, and in it there dwells my lovely belle. She's the Rose of Newtown Sands. Oh, nut brown hair I cannot compare with anything I've seen. Or snow white make the heart would break of any human being. Or ivory teeth and snow white feet are fairer than the swans. She's that lovely maid I'll see one day. She's the Rose of Newtown Sands. Oh, I'd give all the earthly treasures to gain this fair one's heart, and all the gold and silver now that glitters o'er the land. America, sure it lies far away, with scenery so grand, but there's nothing there I could compare with the Rose of Newtown Sands. Oh, I'd give all the costly diamonds if she was only mine, and all the lands along the band, the water and the tide. But it's not for me, nor it never could be, that we join up in well bands. She She's that lovely maid I'll see someday. She's the rose of Newtown sands. For it's time to close in sweet repose. It's time for to draw nigh. Young Irishmen in hill and glen, I bid you all goodbye. So fare thee well forevermore, till in some far distant land, where my bones they might mingle in the clay near the rose of Newtown sands.
and the whole lot. Blessed to God, if they hadn't a canoe and it tied with ropes onto the outside of the car. Some of it behind it and some of it in front of it. Don't you know the crack now with the canoe? I suppose they stole it behind the ballyboon. But anyway, they were going grand until they came to the Red Cow. And of course, the guards were doing the test with the camera, and they stopped the boys. Where are you going, lads? Now, don't you know where we're going? We're going up for sand. We're bringing down sand tomorrow, they said. You see? So with that anyway, he said, I can see that, he said. And the ducks and the cows, they were all inside the trailer tied onto the car. And he says to them like that, I can understand all that now, he said. And I saw the cows in the news. But he said, what's with the canoe? Oh, the canoe, they said. Oh, sure, jeez, that's no problem. And our tickets for the canal end.
This is a very historic square, and in 1962 an extraordinary event happened here. Johnny Cash, the man in black, spent 6 months of his life in Kilkenny in '62, and the man in black forgot a lot of it because he drank a lot of the black stuff, but he came into this square one night on his way to Shannon Airport. And instead of going out that corner of the square, he went into Lynch's bar there until closing time. And when he came out, he went over to that corner of the square and he fell asleep in a doorway over there. In Timmy Lawler's doorway, the parish clerk in the stool. When the parish clerk got up in the morning, he found this man in black stretched at the front door. Hooroo, he said. I'm the man in black, says he. There's only one man in black, he said, in this town, and he's inside in bed in the presbytery. I'm the man in black, my name is Johnny Cash. And with that he produced a fish full of dollars and he said, I need to be in Shannon right away. And of course when Jimmy saw the fish full of dollars, he said, get Jake Scairn. Jake Scairn is the taxi man here in the store. Down with Jake's. The fish full of dollars was given to him. Johnny Cash got to Shannon. On his way back to America, he composed the song, The 40 Shades of Green. In honor of our dead Timmy Lawler and Jake Scairn and Johnny Cash himself, can we all sing here this evening together, The 40 Shades of Green. Join me as we say, I close my eyes and picture the emerald of the green, from the fishing boats at Dingle to the shores of Donahue. I miss the river Shannon and the folks at Skibbereen, the moorland and the meadows with their 40 shades of green. But most of all, I miss a girl in Tipperary town. And most of all, I miss her lips as soft as either down. Again, I want to see and do the things we've done and seen, where the breeze is sweet as Shalimar, and there's 40 shades of green. I wish that I could take a walk past Dublin's churning tide. I'd like to watch the farmers drain the bogs and spade the turf, to see again the touching of the straw the women glean. I'd walk from Cork to learn to see those 40 shades of green. But most of all, I miss a girl in Tipperary town. And most of all, I miss her lips as soft as either down. Again, I want to see and do the things we've done and seen, where the breeze is sweet as Shalimar, and there's 40 shades of green. Where the breeze is sweet as Shalimar, and there's 40 shades of green. Give yourselves a round of applause, come on.
big roll of applause now for the Hillsiders.
Well, you're here in the court there. Tá take'n le chéile. Tá níthe drolíonn seo brúch na féile. Tá seogan díobh a tá ceolmhar is gaeilge. Tá sé mairep is spórtúin agus beagáinín éireach.
dancers. So to satisfy my mind, down to Limerick town I come, sirs. Oh mother, what a precious sight and what a charming city, where the boys are all so free and the girls are all so pretty. With me ring-a-doo-a-da, me ring-a-doo-a-daddy-o, ring-a-doo-a-da, with me that's for the daddy-o. It was on the 1st of May when I began my rambles, and everything was there, both jaunty cars and gambles. I looked along the road which was lined with smiling faces, all going up and down for to go and see the races. With me ring-a-doo-a-da, me ring-a-doo-a-daddy-o, ring-a-doo-a-da, with me that's for the daddy-o. There were fiddlers playing jigs, there were lads and lassies dancing, and the chaps upon their legs round the courses they were prancing. Well, some were drinking whiskey punch, while others bawled out gaily, all right for the shamrock and the splinter of Shillelagh. With me ring-a-doo-a-da, me ring-a-doo-a-daddy-o, ring-a-doo-a-da, with me that's for the daddy-o. When the players came to town, sure funny said they were sad. I paid my 2.13 for to go and see the places. They acted kings and coppers, queens, all dressed up so nice and gaily. But I found myself at home when they struck a paddy carry. With me ring-a-doo-a-da, me ring-a-doo-a-daddy-o, ring-a-doo-a-da, with me that's for the daddy. With me ring-a-doo-a-da, me ring-a-doo-a-daddy-o, ring-a-doo-a-da, with me that's for the daddy-o.
had enough crime, and of hunting the drolling around Christmas time. At the crossroads and parties, and run out galore, we danced and we danced, till we could dance no more.
I put on my hat and I ran with such haste that you'd know I was bent in a hurry. I came to her door and I rattled the pin. I lifted the latch and I boldly walked in. On seeing my sweetheart I bid her good evening, saying you'll come with me over the mountain. What nonsense is this you've got into your head? Or what notion is this you have taken? 'Tis 12 by the clock and they're all gone to bed, so speak more, my father will waken. I have courted you here and I think that will do. I have made up my mind to have no one but you. And if you refuse me, sweet maiden, adieu. I must go alone over the mountain. But if from my father and mother I go, they never will think of me longer. And the neighbours around them will not be so slow as to say that no one could do wronger. Sweet girl, you're wasting the sweet hours away. I care not a fig what the whole world might say, but you will be mine by the dawn of the day, if you'll come with me over the mountain. She looked at my face with a tear in her eye, and saw that my mind was still steady. Then rubbed out the tears she was going to cry. In God's name, my dear, now get ready. Just wait for a moment till I get my shoes. My heart jumped for joy when I heard the glad news. She lifted the latch, saying, I hope you'll excuse my simplicity over the mountain. By this time the moon had gone down in the west, and the morning star clearly was shining, as we two pursued our journey in haste, to be joined at the altar in Hyman. In peace and contentment we spent that long day. The anger of parents it soon wore away, and I'll never forget it to my very last day, the trip we took over the mountain. Thank you.
In here to the market, and when he was leaving the house, the wife gave him a strict warning not to go on to her without a white enamel bucket. She wanted for drawn water or something. So when Mossy had his handful of jobs done around town, he pulled the horse up alongside O'Mara's hardware store above down the market yard. God knows a frightening cannibal she was too, so he said he wouldn't be too long. So he went into the back of the shop, this way, and picked up his bucket and brought it on this way toward the counter to pay for it. And of course a big bunch of people in front of him, so that every now and again, you kind of have to look out the window, see what kind of horse was outside, and look out again. And whatever look he gave this time, wasn't there something after frightening the horse, and the horse took off. Up the market yard, out goes Mossy out the door as fast as ever he could. And he wasn't gone outside the door when the owner of the shop ran out after him and put his hand on his shoulder, and he says, enough of this going on, taking the bucket from his hand. and calling the sergeant who was across the street. And the sergeant came over and brought out his book, and it made no difference what poor Moss man he said, because the sergeant had only ears for the shopkeeper. Because at that time, the same as now, money spoke and told the truth. So poor Mossy got his whereas to appear before the next court day, which was on above him the following Tuesday. And you know, the judge kind of nearly apparently guessed that he was very innocent. But what could he do when the weight of evidence was against him between the sergeant and the shopkeeper? So Mossy was fined. I never should have done that much, price of a bucket. But the damage was done. For there was his name in the newspaper the following week. If he had won the Swede, they would never have made as much history out of it. And that wasn't bad at all, Tom, but below the church gate after Mass on Sunday, and the wife and her people, and a sister of hers who just had arrived home on a holiday, all the way from Long Island to New York, they were marked. It was an awful thing at that time to be brandished as a robber, and she said that a thing like that never happened in our side of the family. So they all came together anyway, and they decided that Mossy would have to be put indoors, confined to barracks. That was the month of September, and coming on towards Christmas, he pleaded with the wife to get him into town to try to get some bit of the Christmas spirit. So she did, but gave him a strict warning to be home early. He wasn't, and she was below at the gate to meet him. What kept you? Says Mossy, I got held up. I said I'd go to confession. Oh boy, she, and rightly so you should have. Did you tell him about the bucket? You're an awful Mossy. I didn't bother. So he must have shown read that in the newspaper. Card gur mí maithe gaibh tá seobeag nach card chuig nóid inis cúpla slides.
Cranboy's Grant, are eager for the fray. The races have come around again, another year has gone. In revelry we greet you with our music, dance and song. With torch light we march tonight, each girl and sweet gossoon, to music sweet and more on beat, beneath the harvest moon. We've gaily stepped with flag unfurled in colours white and blue, to recall once more the days of yore and friendships tried and true. So one and all, both big and small, come, let's all draw near, and pinch and pale, to this glad array, I pray you, lend an ear. The scene before you now unfolds, it's without print or plan, like the boys of Barnashroya, country of the land.
Sleeping time awaking, it's where I'd like to be, to walk again those kindly streets, the place my life began, where the boys of Barnashroya went hunting for. We search for Bart in every farce, from letter to Dooney. We jumped for a joy beneath the sky. Life has no print or plan, and we boys of Barnashroya who hunted for the brand, and here's a halt to them tonight, the lads who laughed with me by the groves of Carron River, or the slopes of Benety, John Dolly and Batandy, and the she-hands of Con and Dan, and the boys of Barnashroya who hunted for the and when the guilds were bleeding, and the rifles were aflame, to the rebel homes of Kerry, the Saxon strangers came, but the men who dared the axes, and to fought the black and the tans, and the boys of Barnashroya who hunted for and when the wheel of life runs down, and peace comes over me, just lay me down in that old town, between the hills and the sea. I'll take my sleep in those green fields, the place I grew up with the boys of Barnashroya who hunted for the land. the road before me, a red-haired girl I chanced to spy. I stepped up to her, says I, young lady, me donkey he can carry too. She looks at me, her eyes a twinkle, her cheeks they were a rosy hue. Thank you kindly sir, she answered, then she shook her long red hair. Seeing as how you got your donkey, I'll ride with you to Dingle Fair. 'Twas when we reached the fair in Dingle, I took her hand for to say goodbye. Her man stepped up beside me and hit me right in my left eye. Keep your hands off red-haired Mary, or her and I are to be wed. We're seeing the priest this very morning, tonight we'll be lying in a marriage bed. Now I was feeling kind of peevish, my poor eye felt sad and sore. So I gently tapped him with me hobnails, and he flew back through Murphy's door. Keep your hands off red-haired Mary, or her and I are to be wed. We're seeing the priest this very morning, tonight we'll be lying in the marriage bed. Now a policeman, he came round the corner, told me I had broke the law. So me donkey kicked him in the ankle, and he fell down and broke his jaw. Keep your hands off red-haired Mary, or her and I are to be wed. We're seeing the priest this very morning, tonight we'll be lying in the marriage bed. Now the red-haired girl, she kept a-smiling, young man, I'll come with you, she said. We'll forget the priest this very morning, and tonight we'll lie in Murphy's shed. So keep your hands off red-haired Mary, or her and I are to be wed. We'll forget the priest this very morning, and tonight we'll lie in Murphy's shed. were young and in their pride. They rambled to a lonely spot where the black and tans did hide. The Republic bold they did uphold the wild lord on the moor, and side by side they fought and died in the valley of Loch. 'Twas on a neighbouring hillside we listened in hushed dismay. In every house, in every town, a young girl knelt to pray. They're closing in around us now with rifle fire so sure, and Walsh's dead and young Dalton's down in the valley of Knocknor. The summer sun is sinking low behind the fields and glee. The pale moonlight is shining bright far off beyond Tralee. The dismal stars, the clouds of fire are shining o'er the moor, and the banshee cry for our heroes died in the valley of Knocknor.
beggar man, the beggar I have been for 3 years in this little isle of Wren. I go along the lifting from the basin to the zoo, and everybody knows me by the name of Johnny Doo. Of all the trails are going, sure a beggar is the best, for when a man gets tired, he can sit down to rest. Gets out for a dinner, he has nothing else to do but to sleep around the corner with his old Johnny Doo. One night in Lara Campana, shopping late night, it was the 7th in the morn. Wren was in the lantern and the rain was coming through, with the cats and the rats, they were playing peekaboo. All of the sudden there was dancing on the house, with the print of the apron and the little spotted blouse. She began to frighten and I said, oh, don't be afraid of them, it's in the Johnny Doo. It's time that I was gone. Night is getting late and I've got my little song. And now look at the story of the old Wren and Doo, who had not be with you, says old Johnny Doo. She's a diddle dum diddle 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 dum
high renown, tonight we've come by chance to play our music, sing our song, and battle out the dance. The time has come for us to go, and so to you I'll tell. Kel Slán is banner, live Galea, we bid you all farewell.
Great show. Enjoy yourself. Wonderful talent, and there's more of it to come. And the next crowd that are coming now, that were here 2 years ago.
The Wren, the king of all birds. St. Stephen's Day, he was cutting the force. So, up with the kettle and down with the pan, give us a penny to bury the Wren.
that you could wish to see. I'd marry her this minute if she only would agree. How I wish that I could coax her down to Cardoon with me. For the Kilmac Thomas Gard is the best of quality. Now I'm losing every job I get for work, I'm not inclined. So it's hard for me to work at all, there's so much on my mind. So I'm planning how to get her, so I'll have enough to do. And if she says she'll marry me, I'll work as good as two. Oh, she is as fine a girl that you could wish to see. I'd marry her this minute if she only would agree. How I wish that I could coax her down to Cardoon with me. For the Kilmac Thomas Gard is the best of quality. And sure, when I go to bed at night, sure I hardly sleep a wink. And I know you wouldn't believe me if I tell you what I think. And sure, when I'm tired of thinking, I go out into the glen. Shall I stand outside her window and go back to bed again? Oh, she is as fine a girl that you could wish to see. I'd marry her this minute if she only would agree. How I wish that I could coax her down to Cardoon with me. For the Kilmac Thomas Gard is the best of quality. Now tonight I'm going to meet her, and I'll tell her straight and plain. And behold, if she refuses me, and never stand a strain. And behold, if she refuses me, and if I still survive, I'll join the monks of Mary for as long as I'm alive. Oh, she is as fine a girl that you could wish to see. I'd marry her this minute if she only would agree. How I wish that I could coax her down to Cardoon with me. For the Kilmac Thomas Gard is the best of quality.
If you are asked at the wedding, you should get him out of here. his brought into the bog one day, this young fella, he was cutting turf, and this fella brushed him, gave him a hand in the bog. So he go home early in the evening anyway, and the farmer said to him anyway, called him back. Hey, he said, don't forget about tomorrow. Well, about tomorrow, he said, I won't forget today anyway.
I will sing to you of a lovely place. It is where I long to be. It is where I spend my youthful days in merriment and glee. It's calling fair, I do declare, what is within my will go. For to take a stroll along the banks where the River flows. It is well I do remember too, when in my youth and bloom I used to roam with gun and love round Chapel Moor, by Carrick Hill and Castle Town, a place you all well know, and Gordon Glarner's lovely banks where the River flows. O'er the hills of dirt and Carrick Hill, it's a mist I'll remain, when I would pass an hour or two around you Palace Green. Fond memories often takes me back to that place long, long ago, where I used to ramble down the banks where the River flows. And so tonight, my comrades bright, I will bid you all adieu. Before I finish these last few lines, one more I say to you. Bring up your youth to hunt and shoot, as we did in days of yore. Of the hunt again that still remain where the River flows.
Then Ireland met on London, to Ireland I did fly. I stepped on board a vision and I followed with the wind. Till next I came to anchor at the crossing spans of June. Then on the 23rd of June, the day before the fair, when Ireland's sons and daughters and friends assembled there, they are the old, the brave and the bold, their duty to fulfill at the parish church at Cooley, a mile from Spansfield. When I went to see my neighbors, to see what they might say, they all unaware are dead and gone, the young ones turning grey. I met the tenor Quigley's, as bold as ever still. Sure he used to lend me bridges when I lived in Spansfield. I paid a flying visit to my first and only love. He's as bright as any lily and gentle as a dove. She threw her arms around me, saying, "Johnny, I love you still." For she's next to farmer's daughter and the whitest Spansfield hill, where I dreamt I knelt and kissed her. It's in the days of yore. Sure, Johnny, are only joking, as many a time before. The cock he crew in the morning, he crew more loud and shrill. When I woke in California,
sorry lads, we come to the end of our show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed playing for you. But there was this chap that went in there one time, and he was in these digs, and he came on this evening and the landlady asked him, look, tell me, Mr. Shea, have any cure for mice? My God and a half, Mrs. He said, if they get the same breakfast that I got this morning, she said, they weren't there too long ago. Thank God.
Waiting patiently right here.
It's great to be here tonight, and we're going to start off with a lively selection of reels. Oh no, lads, drive her on!
you all together. As I said, lovely hurling, says the woman at the football match. My lads, come on now. We'll drive her on with a selection of jigs this time now. Now lads, listen, put your gut into it there now. Come on, drive her on. anywhere, huh? Up. Lads, I tell you, we'll land to knock sparks over this floor here. We get a bit of a half set together. Lads, drive around with a few polkas. Huh?
1, 2, 3, 4.
A hard one to keep under control. I'm going to call Vincent here. Vincent, you'll tell us a bit of a story. Do it. Great to have you here.
There was these two women and they conveyed each other to first mass every Sunday morning. They walked and they talked all the way down to mass. They walked and they talked all the way home from mass. And they talked all during mass as well. And this morning they arrived in the village, and to their surprise there was two big buses parked outside the chapel gate. When they went in, the chapel was full of young people. They were going away to the flag zone and used to all that thing. The seat that the women used to occupy that was already taken, so Lizzie, she got a seat halfway up the chapel, and Bridgie had to go right up to the front. And as soon as the priest had delivered his final blessing, there was what they could only describe as a stampede to the door, and the two women got lost in the crowd. When Bridgie laid eyes on Lizzie again, she was at the far side of the street, talking to two returning Yanks, husband and wife. The man, God bless him, he was about 6'5", he weighed about 19 stone with a white trouser and a red shirt on him. And he's smoking a cigar and lent him a policeman's truncheon. And his wife, she was only a small but of a woman with two fat arms. God bless the mark, she had 2 elbows like 2 corkscrews. And a black shiny handbag that you could fit a bale of straw in. Bridget didn't want to be standing there with her mouth open looking at him, so she said she'd walk up the road and Lizzie'd overtake her on the way. And as Lizzie was about to overtake her, she said, "Tell me, who were the 2 swanks you were talking to outside the chapel gate?" "Oh," she said, they're home from Boston." She said, "They know they're making old Patsy over." She said, "And what's more," she said, "they're coming over to see me Tuesday night." "Have they now?" "Oh," she said, "that'll put you to a great deal of trouble." Jealousy is an awful thing. Women suffer from it. "What trouble will it put me to?" "Oh," she said, "you'll have to bring the bicycle out in the morning, and you'll have to cycle into town, and you'll have to get meat for them and drink and cakes and bun, and that black and white pudding." She said, "they go mad for it." She said, "the Yanks, when they come home here to the fresh air hits them," she said, "they're nearly eating up their fares." My mother had him home in 1955. She said it was only the year before she died she was getting over the effects they had. "They'll put me to no great trouble at all," said Lizzie, "because you know, whenever the house," she said, "every gander that was left in my hand at Christmas," she said. "And when I go home," she said, "I'll catch him and I'll neck him, I'll tuck him, I'll gut him, I'll watch him, and I'll have him for the Yanks Tuesday evening." And she ran home and she cut him and she nicked him, she tucked him, she gutted him, she watched him. And Tuesday evening she stuffed the gander and put the gander roasting. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock came, and no sign of the 2 Yanks, and no awful slapping them out together. The next Sunday morning the 2 women met at the head of the road. "Tell me, Mrs. Bridget, how did you get on with your Yanks?" "Ah," she said, "I never darkened the door." "See, what did I tell you? And I've no word in either." "I suppose the bird went bad in your hands?" "Oh, he did not." "Well, what did you do with the gander?" She said, "I ate him." "You ate the whole gander yourself?" She said, "I did. Not a bit of trouble to me." "Oh," she said, "and you're the sinful woman." "Sinful? What harm was it for me to eat what I ate from a goose egg?" "Oh," she said, "you are the ignorant woman." She said, "Gluttony, one of the 7 deadly sins. Pride, covetousness, lust, gluttony, anger, envy, and sloth. The one stuck there in the middle of them. If the good Lord was to strike you dead on the road this minute," she said, "you'd be burning below the hobs of hell before I'd have time to say an act of contrition into your ear." Poor Lizzie, she was so taken back by this. If you were to stick her with a penknife, she wouldn't lose a drop of blood. She was frozen. Went into Mass, never had the word the priest said, with the thoughts of this deadly sin on her throne. Going up the road after Mass, there wasn't 2 words spoken, all picture and no sound. Poor woman went to bed Sunday night, couldn't sleep, tossing and turning. Monday night, Tuesday night, went the same carry on. And as luck would have it Thursday evening, there were confessions in the chapel for the 9 Fridays, and down she went, into the chapel. Oh, a huge crowd there. Haven't things changed? And there was only the one priest hearing, which was very unusual. And he was letting them in and out to the confession box like shuttlecock. You see, there was a card game going on in the school, and the old priest we at the time was an awful man for the game of 25. Different altogether to the fellow we have there now. Lizzie joined the queue in one seat and out the other, as she pushing her handbag out before her. And after about 3/4 of an hour she got down to the box and she went in. And she said, "Bless me, Father," she said, "for I've sinned." "How long?" he said, "since your last confession?" Lovely man in the box. "Ah," she said, "just a month, Father, just a month, because I've been doing the 9 Friday," she said, "for the past 45 years. "Oh, very good indeed," he said. "Tell me, is there anything troubling you or anything you'd like to tell me since the last time you were at confession?" "Oh," she said, "there is, Father, because I'm after committing one of them deadly sins. And you know, with the crowd here tonight, Father," she said, "the thought of having to face you, it has gone out of my head." "You'll have to give me a minute to think about it." The poor old priest, he was in a hurry to get away to the game of cards. And she said, "I have it, Father, I have it." She said, "I committed adultery." "Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear," he said. "I'm very saddened and very grieved after hear such a confession, especially coming from a woman in the autumn of her life, that's been doing the 9 Fridays for the past 45 years. He said, could you tell me what tempted you to commit such a sin? Oh, she said, but like this, Father, she said, there he was lying on his back above the table, she said. And his 2 legs up, she said. And him nice and brown. And a long neck of him. Do you know, Father, she said, when I left over my hand and I got the feeling that the devil took me.
She's a lovely dancer, there are a few lovely slip jigs. That's alright if I sing a song. Huh? Now this is a song you might be able to relate to. Oh, it's just a year ago today that I married Mary Ann, and here am I at 45, an old and feeble man. She nags me in the morning, she nags me all the day. She criticises all I do and everything I say. The other night we had a fight, and she hit me with the pan. For the curse of blazes on the day that I married Mary Ann. She wakes me in the morning, she says, get out of bed. You lazy, ugly so-and-so, you're like something dead. Get up and go to work now, and find a job somehow. Sure, I told her that I never worked, and I wasn't starting now. I draw the home assistance, and things are very dear, for to buy a box of tea bags, or a few old pints of beer. And if she wants some money, for to buy herself a dress, she bloody well may go out and work for it herself. And just to aggravate her, I stay in bed all day. I get up in the evening time and make myself some tea. And then I wander down the town, for to have myself a jar. Sure, 'tis always after closing time, before I leave the bar. And then I start for home again. Oh, she's waiting for me there, full in her height and in her waist, and curlers in her hair, and in her hand a poker. Oh, she'd frighten any man. She's the biggest devil that ever there was, my old Mary Ann. She's over 6 feet tall, me boys, and her weight is 20 stone. And whenever we would have a fight, sure I'd barely hold me own. She's as strong as any blacksmith. Oh, she should have been a man. You'd need cottage home protection from my old Mary Ann. She says I'm good for nothing, either in or out of bed. She says I'm not a man at all and wishes I were dead. She says that I'm a drunken spoon and I think I'll have to leave. For if I stay here any longer now, sure I'll end up in me grave. I think I'll go to London and leave her to herself. It means that I must leave my home, but that cannot be helped. For you might as well be living with the devil and his clan as to try and share the same abode as my own Mary Ann. So come on, me boys, take warning. Stay single while you may, for if you wait, you'll be a slave until your dying day. And the lady with the lovely face and a smile so warm and grand, but she could be a devil too, like my own Mary Ann. Few hornpipes this time, lads, come on. first when the women show the men up, isn't it, huh? Mighty all together. I'll let you in on a bit of a secret. Claire, come over here. She's a mighty singer, so she is. And you know what? We heard a rare song there during the week. It's called Hunting for the Wren. How do you know it at all? Lads, how do you know it back there? No?
Climbs the mountain and looks out on the sea. At sleeping time or waking, oh, it's there I like to be. To walk again those kindly streets, the place where life began.
With cudgels now to we run about to hunt the gathering. We searched for buds in every forest, from Litter to Duneen. We jumped for joy beneath the sky. Life held no print or plan for the boys of Arnesloy who hunted for the ram.
And when the hills were bleeding and rifles were rolling to the rebel homes of Kerry, but Saxon strangers came, but the ones who dared the odd seas and to fought the black and tans were the boys upon Troy who hunted for the land.
But now they toil on foreign soil, where they have gone their way, deep in the heart of London town, or over in Broadway. And I am left to sing their deeds and praise them while I can. Those boys of Arnesloy who hunted for the land.
And here's a toast to them tonight, those lads who laughed with me by the groves of Carn River, up slopes of Beatty, John Dolly and Batandy, all the sheets coming down, where the boys upon the shore who hunted for the land. And when the wheel of life runs down
And peace comes over me, just take me back to that old town between the hills and sea. I'll take my rest in those green fields, the place where life began, where the boys of Arnesloy went hunting for the land.
Well, lads, I'm looking at the old bit of a watch there now, and I think it's getting late on, lads. I think we better finish up. But listen, Rory and Claire, thank you very much for your hospitality. Agus le cún of day, they made got in our Rasharish and Lean Chacoon, on Iha Untagarish. Right, lads, we'll finish up with a lively selection of reels, and maybe the dancers will knock sparks out of the floor. Driver on! Mickey, come on, go on.
Big Bull Boss there from Mullinooga, all the way to Rossbray. We're Caldwell and Sundale, Saturday we go to Dublin. For the cup is here. Now they're a new group, and they're a very young group, and I think there's great credit to them. They can
Anyway.